Good morning. Good morning. Seems like it's been a long time since I've been here, but it haven't because I spent the last 10 days with you all doing the Snowflake Method. I hope you were able to finish. I'm still working on it, and I consider this a part of my third draft. It's coming along good, so yeah. It is October and this is Preptober. I used to say October prep, but it is Preptober. So this is the month that we focus on prepping for NaNoWrimo, which is November the 1st. That is 30 days of writing, 50,000 K plus. So yeah, we're going to just freestyle through this. My schedule for October for AM writing is going to be on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at this time in the morning. I'm also working with having guest hosts during the day, probably maybe at 7 o'clock Central Time, when we would come back, me with another guest. If you want to be a guest, just drop me a comment or send me an email. I can add you to the show, add you to my studio, either by your phone, your computer, however, Mac or your PC. That is a new feature added to our eCam, and I'm so happy. So if you'd like to join me during Preptober, just hit me up in the comments below or send me a quick email. It was in the link, Bouvier at iCloud.com, and we'll get started. It is so easy that I thought I had my volume off, but let's see. I do. I don't know where that sound come from. Probably my computer. But anyway, yeah, all we're gonna do is nothing formal. Just talk about how we prep, maybe offer some tips to our viewers on how they can prepare themselves for NaNoWrimo or just to start writing. You want to write, you want to get those stories out of your head because they matter. They really do. You got stories that's been in you probably for years and years, and you always said that I wanted to write, I wanted to be a writer, I wanted to write a book, I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, this is the time for you to do all of that. There's no excuse. We at home, we're going through some crazy times. Why not utilize it and make the most of the opportunity to share your story? You can even write about what's going on today in the world. So yeah, your story matter, and that's why I'm here because I want to encourage you to just write one word, one sentence, one paragraph, and watch those pages grow until you have a full blown book or a novel, either fiction, nonfiction, memoirs, or whatever you want to write, poetry. I'm here to encourage you. How you like my Halloween cup? This is Halloween cup number one. I have a thing for, well, I thought these was pumpkins, but they skeleton skulls. But that's cool. It's still in the theme with Halloween. I had bought a witch for decoration. She was too creepy. I had to take her back. My imagination just went on a Stephen King tantrum. She was really unique looking. I thought she was kind of cute, but she was green and wicked looking. So when I go to bed at night, my imagination brought her to life. So I had to get rid of her. I took her back. I'm a scary cat. So anyway, we have a big event coming on up at the end of the month. We have two on the 30th with Jen Lowry. Check her YouTube station out. And we're gonna go into mine on the 31st where we are hosting a Halloween party. Yes, our official kickoff for NaNoWrimo. I want to make sure my mic is up, but it is. I thought I was going to have my timer set, but I down. I have to create some new ones because of the issues I was having with my computer, but that's okay. So today we're going to either write, you can work on whatever project you're working on, but for those that are looking to start Nano and don't know where to begin, first thing we want to do is brainstorm. Yeah. Um I personally have no idea what I'm going to work on for Nano since I'm spending this month on the third draft of my cozy mystery. I thought about going into book 2 for this Nano, but no, I think I'm gonna do a couple other things. I'm probably gonna jump start book 2 for my cozy mystery series during April Camp Nano and July Camp Nano. So I'm gonna think about what I'm gonna write for NaNoWrimo in November, which is less than a month away. So I don't know. I have several projects. Oh, how can I forget to tell you guys? So this weekend after my writing boot camp, okay, the backstory is I wrote my first children's book. So early in the week, I was on Instagram and I was scrolling through the feeds, and I came across this guy. He was disfigured. He was burnt when he was 3 years old, and he had the most brightest smile. His smile was just contagious, and he was dancing. You know how they do all those dances now, doing a reel on Instagram. And he had a friend out there dancing with him who was deaf. I would never imagine anything was wrong with him just by observing him. They both were so good. But I was like, wow, this guy is really good. So I clicked and looked at his Instagram profile, and I looked at some of the pictures, and he shares his story about when he was burnt when he was 3 years old and how he chose to live life in spite of his disability, in spite of what he looked like. He dressed all in the latest fashion and everything, and he is living life to the fullest. I was so happy. It was pulling so hard on my heartstring. I had this idea. And a week before then, when I was in this art painting virtual art thing with Jen Lowry, I didn't have the paint set, so I used my iPad and Procreate, and I drew some ballerinas. And they were stick figure ballerinas, but they was really good. So, and then my friend Ann, she's blind, and she was talking about, the issues she had with disability and how people in society treats them sometimes. And taking all that into account, this idea came across my head, and it pulled on me so hard. And it was about a little girl. Josie was her name. I didn't even have to think of her name. Josie wanted to be a ballerina dancer, so it's called Josie, the Ballerina Dreamer. And she's a little black girl. She wants to be a ballerina. She had this dream that she was on stage performing. Everything in her dream she saw seemed so real. But her friends at school would bully and tease her. They didn't know she wanted to be a ballerina dancer, and for the longest, they didn't know she had a prosthetic leg. They didn't. Because she was ashamed in her own way, and she wore pants all the time, but she always loved dresses. But she wouldn't wear them to school, and the kids was just awful. They was just vicious. So she decided, forget that. I'm going to wear my dress today and let the whole world see that I have a ballerina leg. So she wore her dress to school, and the kids was just awful. They was awful. So anyway, I wrote my story based on that. She made her dream come true. It's a positive message. It teaches kids, you shouldn't always bully people. You shouldn't bully people at all. I mean, it seemed like the ritual to childhood is to be bullied. I remember as a kid how my brother and I was bullied, but back in the days we fought back. We fought back, and my mom said, "You go for the bully. You get the bully back," and then living in the ghetto, you don't get them, I'm gonna get you. It wasn't said that nicely, but we fought back, and the bully left us alone, and the bully called me their sister and all this other good stuff. But you can't do that these days. You can't teach your kids to fight back because they have a no tolerance. So it was really hard for me as a parent when my child was being bullied. Oh, I was furious. I was like, I want you to go back and beat them, but I couldn't because she will be just as at fault as the bully. And so it was hard for me to not teach my child to fight back physically, but to follow the school rules of no tolerance and tell somebody. So, anyway, I explained that in the story, and Josie learns about that because she has a little tendency too. So, as I was writing the story, I mean, it just flowed. I handwritten it out. I was like, wow, you know, this is really cool. And I realized it was easy to do because it was a children's story, and there are certain rules in a children's story, or what they say, depending on the age range, it's like 32 pages, 2 lines per sentence. But I just wrote the whole story out, handwritten it, and I was like, oh. And then I wrote it over again, and revised it, and then I printed it out. So I hadn't put it on in digital form yet. So I was really proud of my story. And then I had a conflict about her name because my writing coach, her book just came out as Joseph Sweet Potato Jones. Now Jones is my grandmother's name, my mom's maiden name, and I kept having conflict. Oh, I don't want the names too close. Because sometimes it seems like me and my writing coach, our brain is on the same wavelength. I just never say some of the things that she verbalized that I already thought about. So a friend of mine said, well, you need to change her name. Her name is too close to Jen's character. And I said, no, but it's a different story, totally different story. And then I started thinking, when I went back to rewrite my story, my little girl reminded me so much of my grandmother. We call her Big Mama. Oh, I love my Big Mama. I miss her every day. And her birthday is coming up October the 18th. She passed away, I don't know how long it's been, but um, it just tore me apart. And when I look back at my story and I see that little girl, I see my grandmother. You know what I mean? My grandmother probably never wanted to be a ballerina, but the message of the story that I got is that you can do anything you want to do. You just have to take that chance. And even though the kids was bullying Josephine, we call her Josie, she didn't strike back at them. And my grandmother was that type of person, and I found out that my grandmother walked with a limp too, because one leg was longer than the other. So I'm sure she went, and plus she's very dark. She was dark skinned. So I'm sure a lot of people taunt her and teased her back in her days. But she was the sister out of 10 kids that didn't allow anything to stop her from doing what she wanted to do. She got up and left Louisiana, came straight to Texas. She even went to California. My grandmother, up until the time we had to take the keys from her from driving, would just disappear. She would take a road trip somewhere and didn't tell anybody until she was either there or back home. So she was a daredevil. She did whatever she wanted to do. She was very independent. She was very tender-hearted. Nobody was ever a stranger. And no matter how you may treated her, she didn't have any ill will in her heart, you know? And I miss her. And so I decided, well, I was going to name her Sally Jones. And my friend said, no, you're already stuck with Josie. I said, well, if I stuck with Josie, her name is going to be Josephine Louise Jones, because my grandmother's name was Sally Louise Jones. And Josie is her own person. But I am going to dedicate this story to my grandmother. And that's going to mean so much more to me than anything. So, yes, her name stays Josie Jones. When her name is called on stage, Josephine Louise Jones, that's in memory of my grandmother. So, yeah, that's the story of my children's story. And I'm going to finish that this week. I want to do the illustration myself. Hopefully that will go good. But I really felt good when I was writing it. It came to me instantly. I have no worries about illustrating this story. So I think I'm going to be okay with it. I feel like I was God driven with the story. So yeah. man, when you get a feeling like that, when you start writing, it is amazing. I was like, nah, I wish I could have been like this when I was writing my cozy mystery. But yeah, I'm gonna finish that, and my plan is to get this self-published by Christmas, at least before Christmas, by December, because I would like this to be out, and this will be a great little book for parents and grandparents to get and read to their children. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so good. So, anyway, I am going to spend, I guess, the next 30 minutes trying to brainstorm what I'm going to do for Nano. My suggestions to you is to write. And that's something I didn't want to do. I thought typing was it, using my computer, typing everything out. But listen to my phone, it's talking to me. So I won't Bixby on. So anyway, I realized when I wrote this story this weekend, I was through in a couple of hours with the first draft. I felt so in touch, so intimate, so one with my story. And it was easy because it was such a short story to handwrite it out. So I think if you might want to apply handwriting your thoughts out on paper, you can use anything. Usually I use a piece of napkin or a post-it note, but I went and I just wrote it out on some printer paper, or you can get you some index cards, real cheap now, and write out your thoughts. Put each thought on an index card. And if you prefer not to write, just type it. Whichever worked for you. But I do recommend try handwriting just those thoughts. One thought, maybe a sentence of what you want to do, like a premise. Write an idea. Don't let a thought get away from you. Every thought counts. So write down all your thoughts on what you want to write about, no matter what it is, and hold on to it. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's play some music. If the music irritates you while you're thinking, just turn your volume down. But I sort of like the music. So let's spend at least 30 minutes brainstorming or writing. Okay, I got a little confused there. So that was what, maybe 20 or 30 minutes of writing. And I was brainstorming some ideas plus working on some other stuff. And I come up with what I'm going to do for Ditto, even though it might change between now and then. But since I'm still working on the Snowflake Method, doing the third draft of my cozy mystery, I'm going to take a month off once that's completed. So I'm going to be working on that all this month to finish it up. And I'm going to take November off and not going to work on the first book. So I'm going to go back and do work on my haiku, so I can get that out probably for the 1st of January, which is pretty short. It's going to be called Coffee with God Haiku, and it's going to be scriptured, inspired, based on gratitude. And it's going to take you through maybe a month's journey, like I did with Echoes and Whispers. And each week, we're going to focus on a certain area in life to reflect upon. So I'm going to work on that. And also, I'm going to finish Josie the Ballerina Dancer. No, Josie the Ballerina Dreamer. I'm going to finish revising that for Camp Nano. Not camp. I'm so all over the place this morning. I need a second cup of coffee. So I'm going to work on that, revise it, and also focus on a drawing and illustration. So yeah, I'm going to be working on those two for Nano. Yeah. And if I come up with some kind of bright idea or something that I can use in my cozy mystery, I'm just going to jot that down. But I'm going to take November off and break away from that so it can marinate. Whew, I love that book. I'm so excited about that cozy mystery. And my goal is to have that one out by the 1st of summer, sometime next year around. That's my goal. It all depends on who I get to edit and how long that would take. So that's a whole different process that I will share with you when that time comes. So I have one editor in mind. So, well, we'll see how that goes. So anyway, how was your 30 minutes of writing? Did you come up with any good ideas? If you have, share it in the comments. It's still pretty early. Let's see the time. So we're gonna let's do maybe a 20-minute writing, free writing, or work on whatever project you're working on. I'm sort of enjoying this moment. Let me set my timer and play a little music. Hello? Okay, that completes that writing session. Let's see what time it is. So I guess we'll wrap it up. This was really fun. It was very productive for me. I was able to organize my thoughts, write them down, and determine exactly what I'm going to do for November. So, yeah, spend some time today. Write down your ideas, story ideas, or anything that comes to your head. Just write it down. Either write it on an index card, write it down on your notepad, or use your notepad on your phone, or however you do it. Don't let those thoughts slip away without writing them down. So, this is the first start. Just take some time out and brainstorm exactly what you want to do. Until tomorrow, I will see you here at the same time. Y'all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, be blessed, and happy writing.